Continuing in the book of Psalms, and it's basically a continuation of Psalms 25. Psalms 26 is. David, I'm sorry, 26, Psalm 26. And in Psalm 25, he closed that out with talking about his integrity and uprightness. I'll read it here. It says, Psalm 25, verse 21 says, "Let integrity and uprightness preserve me, for I wait on thee." And 26 is a continuation of this. And integrity here means moral completeness. And I really believe that in this psalm right here, David is exactly what he's saying he wants. I mean, he is. There might have been other times in his life that he wasn't, but here, he's exactly what he says he is. Because if I wasn't in that position, I would not be asking God to examine me as he is getting ready to. All right? Let's see here. And in this psalm, he has three requests. He's asking for vindication in verse 1. That's clearing him of blame or suspicion. He's asking God to examine him in verses 2 through 8. And then in verses 9 through 12, he's asking God to redeem him. And while we're talking about David's integrity, go to, I believe it's 1 Kings. I didn't write it down. Dadgummit. See if I can find it here. Yeah. 1 Kings chapter 9. And God affirms David's integrity here. It says, "And it came to pass, when Solomon had finished the building of the house of the Lord, and the king's house, and all Solomon's desire, which he was pleasured to do, that the Lord appeared to Solomon the second time, as he had appeared unto him at Gibeon. And the Lord said unto him, I have heard thy prayer, and thy supplication that thou hast made before me. I have hallowed this house, which thou hast built, to put my name there forever, and mine eyes and mine heart shall be there perpetually. And if thou wilt walk before me, as David thy father walked, in integrity of heart, and in uprightness, to do according to all that I have commanded thee, and will keep my statutes and my judgments, then I will establish the throne of thy kingdom upon Israel forever, as I promised to David thy father, saying, there shall not fail thee a man upon the throne of Israel." So God is affirming that David's integrity and his purpose of heart. So we'll start here. Psalm 26 says, "Judge me, O Lord, for I have walked in mine integrity. I have trusted also in the Lord, therefore I shall not slide." David knows that trusting in the Lord will keep him from sliding. And another word for sliding is wavering. Lord knows I've wavered enough, or from wandering, another way to put it. Verse 2, "Examine me, O Lord, and prove me. Try my reins and my heart." Here, reins is the seat of the emotions. And most times in the Old Testament, it's the seat of the emotions. And the heart, to the Hebrew person, is the place where moral decisions are made. Okay? So he's asking the Lord to examine these things. Well, if I'm not where I'm supposed to be, I'm not going to ask him to be examining me too much. Okay? Verse 3, "For thy loving kindness." And anytime you see loving kindness well, not any time, but most times, you can put mercy right there. For thy loving kindness is before mine eyes, and I have walked in thy truth. So he's going on affirming, what he closed out Psalm 25 with. I have not sat with the vain persons, neither will I go in with dissemblers. Vain person. It means vain, emptiness, nothingness, vanity, false, or an idolater. So I've not sat with these people. Neither will I go in with dissemblers. And dissembler, that definition was kind of eye-opening. It means a person who professes beliefs or opinions that they don't really believe in. Hypocrite. Phony. That was some of the synonyms for that. Thought that was interesting. So I have not sat with vain persons, neither will I go in with dissemblers. I have hated the congregation of evildoers. I will not sit with the wicked. In verses 4 and 5 here, David is giving us some examples of people that he would not associate with. And I think for the most part, neither should we. I mean, there's sometimes in the positions we're in, whether it's factory work or whatever, you don't have a lot of choice. That's when you need to let Jesus shine through. But he's given us some warnings here, I think. And I come across a quote by C.S. Lewis. Does most people know who C.S. Lewis was? He was an author, did The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which you could break that down in some comparisons to Christ. But anyway, I found a quote by him. He says, many people have a strong desire to meet celebrities or societally important people, including those whom they disapprove. But I am inclined to think a Christian would be wise to avoid those people where he can. Any meeting with people who are bullies or lascivious, cruel, dishonest, spiteful, and so on and so forth. Not because we are too good for them, but in a sense, we're not good enough. We're not good enough to cope with all the temptations, nor clever enough to cope with all the problems which an evening spent in such society produces. Think about that. That's pretty deep. And the word good means upright or honorable. So he's saying that most of us probably aren't upright or honorable enough to deal with the temptations that would come our way in dealing with those types of people. We must be careful in who we choose to associate with. Must be careful. Because I've said for years, I can pull you out of church a whole lot easier than I can pull you in. Yeah. That's because you've got that old man wanting to go another direction that you really don't need to go. Verses 6 and 7. Before I go any further, anybody got anything? Just be careful. It says, I will wash mine hands in innocency, so I will compass the altar, O Lord, that I may publish with the voice of thanksgiving and tell of all thy wondrous works. Man, I like that. Lord, I have loved the habitation of thy house, and the place where thine honor dwelleth. Now, if you take 4 through 7 together, be careful who we associate with. Go to Psalm chapter 1, and he starts out Psalms. Verse 1 says, Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. So we got to be careful how we walk, stand, or sit. He's telling us this. You know, David is trying to keep himself from evil. And in verses 1, in Psalm 26, verses 1, 3, and 11, it's how he walks. Verses 12 is how he stands, and verse 4 is how he sits. He tries his best to keep himself from evil. And as we learn later on, he fell into some temptation. But here, I believe he's very upright and honorable. And, you know, there's coming, whether we separate ourselves or God separates us, there's coming a big separation. And we won't read that today, but if you go to Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 through 23 for your homework, and Matthew chapter 25, verses 41 through 46, there's coming a division. There's going to be people on the right hand and people on the left. Matthew 25, verses 31 through 46, and Matthew 7, 21 through 23. Yeah, you can read those. There's coming a separation. Yeah. Yeah, you can see it. Verses 8, Lord, I have loved thy habitation of the habitation of thy house, and the place where thine honor dwelleth. Gather not my soul with the sinners, nor my life with the bloody men. Separation. In whose hands is mischief, and their right hand is full of bribes. Yeah. Separation. But as for me, I will walk in mine integrity. Redeem me, and be merciful unto me. My foot standeth in an even place. In the congregations will I bless the Lord. Level ground. And here it's referencing to good footing. You know, I'm ready to stand, Lord. You know. He's not standing on his own, though. Everything refers to the Lord. I do these because of the Lord. You know, he's not standing on his own. Anybody got anything before we go to Psalm 27? All right. Psalm 27. In this psalm, you know, in Psalm 26, I couldn't find any particular place in David's life where that would line up with any scripture. You know, that I could definitely say this was a point in David's life. But in Psalm 27, the Septuagint says that this was before David was anointed king of Israel, which was when he was about 15 or 16 years old, they believe. You know, is when he was anointed by the prophet. But the Septuagint, what it is the Greek translation from the Hebrew Old Testament is what the Septuagint is. It's a translation, Greek translation. I like this psalm, though. Psalm 27. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even mine enemies and my foes, come upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and fell. Though a host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord, and to inquire in his temple. Now in Romans chapter 8, verses 31, Paul says, if God be for us, who can be against us? You know, we may have to suffer, you know, you may suffer some things down here, but here is not home. You know, he tells us we'll have to suffer. But that's hard to see when you're the one suffering. You know. It's hard to see that. But David sums that all up in verse 1. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? But verses 4, I really like this. At this point in David's life, if you read this, he didn't desire riches or power or glory. None of that. He wanted to dwell in the house of the Lord and behold the beauty of the Lord. That was his sole intent. That's what his desire was at this particular point in his life. And where it is, I don't really know. I mean, there's all kinds of conjecture, but that was his desire. Nothing else. Not Bathsheba. That always comes to our mind, you know. But I can't knock David. I'm certainly no better than him. Verses 5 and 6. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion. In the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me. He shall set me up upon a rock. And now shall mine head be lifted up above mine enemies. Round about me, therefore, will I offer in his tabernacle sacrifices of joy. I will sing, yea, I will sing praises unto the Lord. This verse is 5. In the Old Testament, there's 3 possible, this is conjecture, but there's 3 possible scriptures on the rapture. And this verse 5 being one of them. Because if you read it carefully, it says, for in the time of trouble, what's the tribulation called? Jacob's trouble. He shall hide me in his pavilion. In the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me. He shall set me upon a rock. Shall set me up upon a rock. And they believe this is one of the scriptures referring to the rapture in the Old Testament. I wasn't going to read this, but I think I will. Brother Mark, while I'm looking this up, will you go to Zephaniah chapter 2, verses 2 and 3 for me? And I'll get. If y'all go to Isaiah chapter 26. And I mean, there's nothing here that you can set no doctrine upon, but it sure is interesting. Isaiah chapter 26, and we'll start at verse 19. Well, let's back up to verse 17 in Isaiah. It kind of sets the stage a little bit. It says, like as a woman with child that draweth near the time of her delivery is in pain, and she crieth out in her pains, so have we been in thy sight, O Lord. We have been with child, we have been in pain, we have, as it were, brought forth wind, we have not wrought any deliverance in the earth, neither have the inhabitants of the world fallen. Here's the key ones in this one. Thy dead men shall live, together with my dead body shall they arise. Awake and sing, ye that dwell in dust, for thy dew is as the dew of herbs, and the earth shall cast out the dead. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors. I go to prepare a place for you. Okay? Shut thy doors about thee, hide thyself as it were for a little moment, until the indignation be overpassed. Sounds a whole lot like references to the last 3.5 years of tribulation to me. Read that Zephaniah for me, brother. I'm sorry, brother. Zephaniah chapter 2, verses 2 and 3. did in the day of the Lord's anger. And I don't know this for sure, but that could be a foreshadowing of the time of the rapture. Y'all can read it, study it out. I don't know. I just thought it was awfully interesting. Hide me. Anybody got anything before we move on? Tony's going to have to get him a desk back there. Like I said, that's conjecture, but it's possible references to the rapture. Verses 7. Hear, O Lord, when I cry with my voice. Have mercy also upon me and answer me. When thou saidst, seek ye my face, my heart said unto thee, thy face, Lord, will I seek. Hide not thy face far from me. Put not thy servant away in anger. Thou hast been my help. Leave me not, neither forsake me, O God of my salvation. Boy, that's a plea if I ever heard one. When my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. I had to read this a few times because all the records that I can come up with, David's father and mother did not forsake him. So I did a little bit of study on that word when. Well, that word when also means if or but if. So you could put there, if my father or but if my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. That makes more sense. Because, like I said, I couldn't find any account where David's mother and father had forsaken him. But when you look at it, we lose a lot in translation from the Hebrew to English. But when you look at when as if or but if, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Verse 11. Teach me thy way, O Lord, and lead me in a plain path because of mine enemies. That's the only thing I understand is a plain path. Just speak to me in plain English. That's all I understand. I'm not too good at reading between the lines. Teach me thy way, O Lord, and lead me in a plain path because of mine enemies. Deliver me not over unto the will of mine enemies, for false witnesses are risen up against me, and such as breathe out cruelty. I had fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the hand of the living. Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Man, that's a hard thing to do. Wait. Well, that's our instructions. Wait. Anybody got anything before we go on to the next psalm? Psalm 28 says, Unto thee will I cry, O Lord, my rock. Be not silent to me, lest if thou be silent to me, I become like them that go down into the pit. Hear the voice of my supplications when I cry unto thee, when I lift up my hands toward the holy oracle, or the tabernacle. You can put tabernacle at oracle. But, I mean, you can hear the desperation in David's plea here. I mean, listen to me, Lord, please. Yeah, you can hear it. Verse 3, draw me not away with the wicked and with the workers of iniquity, which speak peace to their neighbors, but mischief is in their hearts. Yeah, boy. Give them according to their deeds and according to their wickedness of their endeavors. Give them after the work of their hands. Render to them their desert. A reference on that 2 Timothy 4 and 14. Basically the same thing. Because they regard not the works of the Lord, nor the operation of his hands. He shall destroy them and not build them up. Don't regard the works of the Lord. My goodness. Several years ago, we went to Washington, D.C. and I suggest if you get the opportunity to go, because all those museums are free, and there's a whole lot of information to assimilate. But my goodness, they don't know a bit more about Jesus and a mule knows when Sunday comes. I mean, it's sad. But now there was a museum there. It was a Bible museum, and very well done. They've got Jewish scribes there that their only job is to write out the Bible. And they had a copy of the first printing press. But when you're up there and you look around, they don't regard the works of the Lord. They regard the works of the dollar. You know, I mean, some of those buildings, you know, our forefathers were pretty smart. If you go there and look at the Washington Monument, that pointy thing that stands up in the middle of the square there, you get to looking at it and it's two different colors. Well, when they ran out of money, they quit building it. And when they got some more money, they started building it again. Well, when they got more money, the rock quarry where they got that rock from had ran out, so they had to get it from another rock quarry. Well, it made it two different colors. But they were still smart. They didn't build it unless they had the money. Not today. Not today. It's something to see. Really something to see, but there's no regard for the Creator. You know, it's just sad. But there's coming a day. Let's see here, verse 6. Blessed be the Lord, because he hath heard the voice of my supplications. The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusted in him, and I am helped. Because I trusted in the Lord, I got my help. Therefore my heart greatly rejoiceth, and with my song will I praise him. The Lord is their strength, and he is the saving strength of all his anointed. Save thy people, and bless thine inheritance. Feed them also, and lift them up forever. You know, boy, we like that. All right, anybody got anything before we move on? We're knocking some Psalms out today. Psalm 29 is known as the Psalm of Storms. Also, they call it the voice of the Lord in the storm. We'll just start here. It says, give unto the Lord, O ye mighty, give unto the Lord glory and strength. Give unto the Lord the glory due unto his name. Worship the Lord in the beauty of his holiness. The psalmist here, David, presumably, is telling the mighty men, give unto the Lord glory and strength. Give unto the Lord glory due unto his name, because your glory is nothing in the face of God's glory. You know, whatever glory you have, he lets you have. He can take it away. David realizes this. The voice of the Lord is upon many waters. The God of glory thundereth. The Lord is upon many waters. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. Here it is. David sees this storm out over the sea. This is what he's recounting. He sees a storm out over the sea heading their way. So the voice of the Lord is upon the waters. The God of glory thundereth, the Lord upon many waters. And that was, a lot of the Hebrews referred to the many waters as ocean, because it was so large, you know. So this storm is getting ready to move in. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. The thunder, that's what it's talking about, the thunder. The voice of the Lord breaketh the cedars. You know, the cedars of Lebanon were renowned for their height and their strength, but here they're getting broke down. Yea, the Lord breaketh the cedars of Lebanon. He maketh them also to skip like a calf. Lebanon and Syrian like a young unicorn. Syrian is Mount Hebron. So it's moving, it's coming off the water and it's moving in. The voice of the Lord divideth the flames of fire. Lightning, what it's talking about. I read on this last night. It said the average thunderstorm puts out about as much energy as a 20 kiloton warhead. I think the one that destroyed Nagasaki was only like 3 kilotons. So 20 kilotons of power in an average thunderstorm. Yeah, and the mighty here, your power's nothing. Look at what God can do. You know, nothing. What you have is nothing. The voice of the Lord divideth the flames of fire. The voice of the Lord shaketh the wilderness. The Lord shaketh the wilderness of Kadesh. Kadesh is way south. The voice of the Lord maketh the hinds to calve, and discovereth the forest, and in his temple doth everyone speak of his glory. They're not in the temple in fear. They're in the temple in awe of the power of God. He's trying to lift God up with this through a message of the storm. You know, whatever storm we're in, God is more powerful than it is. You know. The voice of the Lord maketh the hinds to calve, and discovereth the forest, and in his temple doth everyone speak of his glory. The Lord sitteth upon the flood. Could he be referencing all the way back to Noah? The Lord sitteth upon the flood. The Lord sitteth king forever. The Lord will give strength unto his people. The Lord will bless his people with peace. And it's not talking about peace on this planet. It's talking about peace in eternity. You know, we're strangers. We're just passing through. We'll stop there today. She's giving me the high sign. Anybody got any questions or comments or anything? Yes, sir. Right. Yeah, boy.